2018 Subaru Crosstrek, and we're doing a rear wheel bearing replacement on it. It's a pretty straightforward job, really simple, not too many tools needed. If you need to get this done, save yourself money and don't go to the dealership and watch this video. It'll really help you out. If you want to help me out, please check out some of our cool content. We work on hot rods, cool old trucks, old Volkswagens. Please check out our stuff. We have entertaining content too. And check it out and subscribe to Hood Rat's Garage. Let's get into it. Here's the tools we're gonna need, guys. A torque wrench, a ratchet, a pry bar, a wire brush, a paint marker if you want to mark your bolts that you've torqued them, a BFH, a couple of extensions, a magnet, a 17mm socket, a 14mm socket, a 32mm socket, an electric impact right here. If you don't have that, a big breaker bar, a couple of flashlights, PB blaster, and some brake clean. If you don't have an electric impact or a pneumatic impact, you want to leave this wheel on, and usually you'll have a little hole right here where you can pop this cover off and you'll get access to the bolt I'm about to show you. So here's this center section you would take out to get access. You would take that center section out to get access to this nut right here. It is a 32mm nut. If you leave your wheel on and the car on the ground, you can use a really big breaker bar and break this loose before you get anything off. And it won't hurt anything to take this guy loose first. If you want to be safe, you could just leave it, you know, on with a couple of threads. But that'll be your first step if you're doing this without an electric impact. For us, we've got this guy, and we're going to use it to buzz this thing off. Just like that. We'll set it aside. Next, we have a 10mm bolt right here that's holding our speed sensor in for this rear wheel bearing. You're going to want to undo that 10mm right there. Before you do that, it's good to use the wire brush to clean up any debris that's in the way. Next, we'll take our 10mm and we'll zip this bolt out. Gently twist the sensor side to side, and it will free up like that, and then pull it out. If you live in the Rust Belt or it's a really rusty car, that could fight you. Okay guys, our next task is to take the rotor and the brake caliper bracket off. We're going to take the brake caliper bracket and the caliper off as one piece by removing two 17mm nuts on the back. I'll show you those right now. We have one of them here and the other one right here. This now we'll just pull off backwards like that, wiggle it a little to free it off of the caliper, to free it off the rotor. Make sure you set it somewhere where it won't fall. And that should be it, guys. This rotor should be free to come off now. And there it is. Next up, guys, we have the 4 bolts that hold the wheel bearing / hub assembly to the steering knuckle. And they are right here. Those are 14mm. We're going to take those out, and I'll show you a trick I have coming up. Okay guys, here comes my secret step. That hub assembly is usually going to be seized into the knuckle. So you're not going to take those bolts all the way out. You're going to back them off until there's only about 3 or 4 threads still inside the hub assembly. And then we're going to use those bolts as basically push points to push the thing out. Let me show you what I mean. You can now see that there is space behind those bolts. So when we put our socket on them like this, we can hit it and it'll help drive the thing out of where it's inside of, which is back in here kind of. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, with patience, guys, you'll be able to see that I have gotten some room in here to spray some penetrating oil. Let me show you. Right here, in this little crack, you can see we've started to see some bare metal. We're gonna spritz some right here and let that soak through, and also in the sensor hole as well. And that'll help get lubrication inside of this so that it'll start to move better. Okay, a couple more whacks and this should come out. You gotta go around to each bolt and do each one progressively to help walk the thing out. Oh, there we go. I think we're getting some progress. Oh, do you see that? She popped out, guys. Now we can take our bolts out and this should slide out of the way. With those bolts out of the way, we should be able to walk it off. There it goes, guys. We have the backing plate for the brakes and the hub off as one piece. Now, the problem is we got to get the hub out of the backing plate for the brakes. So that just requires a little bit of tapping on this spot right here. I'll show you what I mean. Oh, she's stubborn, girl. Whoo! Wow. Oh. I think she's going. Woo! There we go. It's pretty much out. There you go, guys. The wheel bearing hub assembly is out. Look at that. Okay, guys, so the next thing you're gonna wanna do is clean the surface that sat in out really well with some with a wire brush and some brake cleaner. Same thing with the bore inside here. This has got a ton of kind of built up rust and grime. Wire brush that really well so your new hub slides in nice and easy. Here you can see all that grime and nastiness I was talking about. Clean that with a wire brush. Get in here with your wire brush and your brake clean and really detail this out. A little bit of work here will make putting it back in a lot easier. Like that, guys, and go all the way around and get it nice and clean. If you want to make it easy for the next guy, put a little bit of anti-seize in this bore right here. That'll keep that from being such a pain in the butt to get off next time. Same thing on this bore right here. You can put a little bit in there. A little goes a long way, guys. I'm also going to put some on this face. Here's our new wheel bearing hub assembly, guys. It is a part by Precision, and the part number is 512518. This is what it looks like. Right here. Guys, I'm an old dealership mechanic. With all my experience, I would highly recommend not buying cheap, crappy hub units from the internet. Get them from a reliable source that you can go back to and get another one if they're bad, like one of your box retailers. But stay away from online sites because these are kind of really important to your safety. If they fail, you could lose a wheel and you could die. So, buy quality stuff. Okay, guys, these are the bolts that go back into the hub assembly through the backside. I'm not going to show you guys putting them back in. You know how to put them in. These are going to get torqued too. And before you torque them, make sure that you put a little dab of blue Loctite on them. Just added security to keep this hub assembly on the car and not with the wheel and off the car. So a little dot of blue Loctite on each one, go a long way. Once those are torqued to spec, we can put our rotor back on. Once the rotor's back on, we can put our caliper bracket back on. Make sure, guys, when you're doing this, to not twist this hose up and put it on kinked. Make sure there's no kinks in your hose when you put it back on, guys, because no one likes a kinky hose. And remember what I said, guys. I want to put a little dab of blue Loctite on the brake caliper bracket bolts as well. Good security that your brake caliper doesn't fall off. These brake caliper bolt brackets get torqued too. Once the caliper bolts are torqued to spec, and you've ensured that every bolt in the back you've taken off has been torqued, and once every bolt in the back has been torqued, you can go ahead and mark them with a paint pen. It's a really good way to remember and visually see that you've done everything so that this doesn't fall apart on you down the road. Next, we're gonna install the nut that holds the axle shaft into the hub assembly. That gets torqued to... In order to torque this axle nut, I'm gonna show you guys a trick that I do that works pretty well. This axle nut gets torqued to about 140 foot-pounds. I believe it's like 190 some odd Newton meters. And that's really hard to do because this whole thing will just spin like this once we get it tight, like that. I stick my breaker bar on it like this. Be careful not to damage the threads as you do it. And I slowly work it down. And there you go, guys. It's torqued to spec, and I didn't have to put the wheel back on. So you then want to hit the little tab in here down to lock it into place. And shoot, you're ready to throw your wheel back on. You just replaced a wheel bearing. Way to go, dude. Or dudette, I don't know what you are. So if this helped you out, guys, please remember, I have cool hot rod, truck, Volkswagen, LS swap content on my channel. And I really want you to have fun after you have done a little bit of working for yourself. So treat yourself to a nice cold one. And one of my other awesome videos, I'll put a link to it right here. And as always, this is Nick with Hood Rats. Peace!